young man from Umlazi in KwaZulu-Natal has been released from prison after being acquitted of rape. Njabulo Ndlovu spent 13 years in the Durban Westville prison. He was sentenced to life imprisonment for rape in 2004. At the time, he was into the second year of his LLB studies at the University of KwaZulu-Natal. His friend and former classmate, Andile Magubane, represented him on the case. Magubane joins us now from our Durban studios. Good evening, Andile. This is certainly not one of the stories that you come across every day. And before we get into the legal merits of this particular case, perhaps let's talk a little bit about your own personal story with Njabulo and how you came to represent him on this case after a visit to him in prison.
Good evening, ma'am. Thank you very much for having this opportunity. It is correct. We've known Njabulo back at university. And I heard, in fact, I did not hear, he had advised us during the time when his trial was proceeding that he was facing charges of rape. And he had indicated to us that on the day, in fact, the day before he was sentenced, he indicated to us that he was going for a sentencing the following day, and that his fate relied solely on the justice system as to whether he will be out or he will be incarcerated. Indeed, the next day, Njabulo did not appear or did not show up at university. And at that time, it was 2004, we did not have cell phones or anything of the sort because we were one of those poorest students at school. And then we were worried, myself and my other friend, Musam Tembu, we were worried as to what had happened to Njabulo. We took it upon ourselves to investigate and go to his home in Umlazi to find out what had happened to him. We got to his house and his mother had informed us that Njabulo was sentenced of this particular case. And then we had kept on regular visits to him at Westville, and he was changed from one prison to another until in 2015 or 2016 we visited him again at Westville prison, and he had informed us that he has been trying for a number of times to get some funding for his case so that his appeal could be heard. And then that is when I told him that, no, look, even though I was, even myself at the time, I was not financially viable, but I promised him that because I believed that he was innocent, I will try by all means that one day justice will be served in his case. And then indeed I took on his case with the appeal, and yeah, that's the foundation of the matter.
And certainly the belief that he's innocent would be nothing if the full bench did not agree that the case against him had been flawed in many ways, coming right down even to the kind of evidence that was submitted before the court, and why in fact it was that Njabulo had been linked to this particular gang rape that had taken place.
Indeed, ma'am. You'll note from the judgment that was delivered last week Friday, the judges extremely criticized the findings of the learned magistrate or of the learned presiding officer that had listened or had presided in his case. Just to name a few, there was the DNA evidence that was not brought to the attention of Njabulo and his attorney. And during examination in chief, the previous attorney of Njabulo had asked him if he had known the results of his DNA evidence. And Njabulo told the attorney that, well, there were blood samples that were taken from me, but I did not know of the results of such DNA evidence. And the learned magistrate who was presiding over the matter said it on record that we do know that there are DNA results for you, Mr. Ndlovu, and the learned magistrate went along and asked the prosecutor to confirm if he knew of such DNA results. And the prosecutor did confirm that there were DNA results that came linking Njabulo to the particular case. But such results were not brought to Njabulo's attention until today. No one knows of such DNA results that linked to Njabulo to this particular case. So indeed,
Sure. Yes, sure. Let's talk about then your client's intention now to also sue the Justice Minister, and this is for damages.
That is correct, ma'am. At the time, Njabulo was a second-year LLB student. Obviously, he has lost quite a considerable number of years being incarcerated, and obviously he has lost some future loss of earning capacity, and obviously his peers at the time have progressed with their lives from the date he was sentenced. So definitely, with the judgment that was handed by the judges on Friday, I believe that he will have a substantial claim against the Minister of Justice for the years that he has lost and for the income that he was supposed to have received or made for himself, either by becoming a private attorney or either any employee as a citizen of South Africa. So definitely, I believe that there will be a claim, a good claim against the Minister of Justice for what has happened. Just to add another point, the Minister of Justice has got a duty to appoint competent magistrates that would make sure that the justice is being administered in a proper way. So by the judges stating in that judgment that the magistrate did not in any way follow the proper procedures to conduct a trial and did not consider certain evidence that was vital to Njabulo's case, that definitely showed that the learned magistrate or the learned presiding officer at the time was not competent enough to adjudicate in Njabulo's trial.
All right, and it's been 13 years since he's been incarcerated, but I believe that earlier this year he completed his law degree through UNISA. This is while in prison. So what are your client's plans from here on, now that he's a free man?
Ma'am, as you can imagine, an LLB student that just obtained his degree in May, in fact it was May this year, via UNISA, he graduated with his LLB. So that means is no different than an LLB student that will graduate at the end of this year with his LLB degree. Obviously, he will need some assistance with starting his life afresh and making sure that he picks up and try to recover the 13 years that he has lost while being incarcerated. And most definitely, I'll be there again to assist him, as I have been assisting him from the date I took over his matter.
And before I let you go, would you want to see any particular action where the magistrate who presided over this trial is concerned?
Excuse me, ma'am, can you repeat the question?
Would you want to see any action taken against that magistrate? This is in addition to the case where you're suing the Justice Minister.
Myself, as an attorney, I would not want for that to happen. But I think the Justice Minister, if this matter is brought to his attention, he is the one who has to make sure that if there are certain actions to be taken against this particular magistrate, he is the one who will have to decide on that. Myself, as an attorney, most definitely, I would not want for that to happen.
All right, let's leave it there for now.
It will be the duty of the Justice Minister.
All right, thanks for coming on to Newsnight, and that was